I make a motion? I'd like to move that we move item 6.2, geez, this is loud, outside of the consent agenda, just to have a discussion about maybe we don't want to just approve budget committee members in perpetuity, just if they keep accepting the position. Maybe by length of service, we want to rotate some people off and maybe open up some vacancies for other applicants.
Under confirmation items, there is number 2, 2025 and 2026. Budget committee members, a couple people were up for renewal.
Oh, 6.2.
Yes, 6.2. Yes, or 6.2.
6.6.
Yes.
There was a 6.6. Okay.
There we go. Thank you. Yes. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to amend the agenda. Is there a second?
I second.
And we need a roll call. All those in favor say aye.
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 And all those opposed? The ayes have it. We will add that to new business.
Conversations are not bad.
Conversations are not bad. Thank you, Director Lynn. Okay, now may we have a new motion to approve the agenda as amended?
I move to approve the agenda.
You?
Second.
Oh, tie goes to the runner. Okay, thank you, Director Lynn. We have a second. All those in favor of the new amended agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Okay, perfect. The agenda has passed. All right, so next up on our agenda is something that's new to our school board this year. As we were reflecting upon diversity and equity and inclusion and events that have taken place over the course of the last calendar year, we felt that it was important for us to start recognizing the important commitment that we all have to inclusion, respect, and opportunity for all. So working with Chief Communications Officer Andreg over there, thank you for all your hard work and helping us put together. Ama. Oh, closer, yes. I didn't want to yell at anyone. Thank you for your help in getting us to, helping us narrow down these list of proclamations that we'd like to read into the record in celebration of these. So we have two tonight. One is the Native American Heritage Month proclamation, and although we missed Hispanic Heritage Month this past September when we were getting this new initiative going, we'd still like to read it into the record to recognize those contributions to our greater community. So we're just going to start at the top and kind of go around the table here. Director Lynn, you will start us off with the first one, the Centennial School District Board Education Resolution Number 2025.2026.0003 for the Native American Heritage Month. And go ahead, Mr. Director Lynn.
Whereas from November 1st to 2025 through November 30th, 2025, the United States celebrates National Native American Heritage Month. And whereas the Portland Metro region rests on the traditional lands of the bands of the Chinook, Multnomah, Clackamas, Tualatin, Molalla, Kalupa, Wasco, Cowlitz, and Cutlathma tribes. These tribes established their communities in a resource-rich area where they traded and fished along rivers and harvested natural resources that sustained their families. And
whereas in the 1950s, under the federal relocation policy, a large segment of the Native population in the United States was forcibly relocated to several major cities, including Portland, contributing to the diversity of tribal representation in the region. And
whereas Native Americans are the descendants of the original indigenous inhabitants of what is now the United States and maintain vibrant cultures, languages, and traditions, holding a deeply rooted sense of community, sovereignty, and stewardship of the land. And
whereas Native Americans have made distinct and important contributions to Oregon, the United States, and the world in the areas of agriculture, environmental stewardship, medicine, language preservation, governance, art, music, science, and education, and contemporary applications of indigenous knowledge systems continue to expand scientific, environmental, and intercultural understanding. And
And whereas the Centennial School District Board believes each and every student is to be celebrated and appreciated for the distinct and vibrant contributions made by sharing cultures, languages, ideas, beliefs, and values within a school community.
Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the Board of Directors for the Centennial School District, hereby recognize November 1st through 30th, 2025 as National Native American Heritage Month. We encourage staff, students, and the community to observe, recognize, and celebrate the culture, heritage, and economic contributions of Native Americans to Oregon and the United States through culturally relevant activities, and to learn from the past and to understand the experiences that have shaped the United States.
Be it further resolved, the board urges staff, students, families, and communities of the Centennial School District to observe National Native American Heritage Month with programs, ongoing lesson plans, and activities that honor the histories, cultures, and contemporary lives of Native Americans, deepen understanding, and advance equity and inclusion.
Thank you, directors. And we will now move on to the second proclamation, which is the Centennial School District Board of Education Resolution Number 2025.26.002. And it just so happens that I am next in line to get this one started. Whereas from December 15th, 2025 through October 15th, 2025, the United States has celebrated National Hispanic Heritage Month. And whereas the Hispanic community in Oregon reflects a diverse mix of first-generation immigrants and longtime residents with cultural roots across 24 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, including Mexico, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay, Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, and Spain. They reflect an array of distinct and vibrant cultures that have enriched our community in valuable ways. And
Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is important because it provides an opportunity to celebrate the integral part of the Hispanic Latino community has had in growing and strengthening our democracy, and to shine a spotlight on the unique voices and experiences of Hispanic Latino Americans and recognize their history, journeys, and achievements. And
Whereas the Centennial School District serves a richly diverse student body where Hispanic Latino learners and families are essential contributors to the cultural, academic, and civic life of our school and communities.
And whereas the Centennial School District Board believes each and every student is to be celebrated and appreciated for the distinct and vibrant contributions made by sharing cultures, languages, ideas, beliefs, and values within a school community.
Now therefore be it resolved that we are the members of the Board of Directors for the Centennial School District hereby retroactively promote September 15th through October 15th, 2025 as National Hispanic Heritage Month, and we encourage staff, students, and the community to observe, recognize, and celebrate the culture, heritage, and economic contributions of the Hispanic Latino community to Oregon and the United States through culturally relevant activities, and to learn from the past and understand the experiences that have shaped the United States.
thank you, directors. And for those who may want copies of whatnot, this will be on all of our communication channels and available for further reading.
Vice Chair Moore, can I make a comment?
Yes, Director Lynn.
Yeah, I know it's not part of the proclamation, but really think it's important that this body says more and speaks to really the fear and terror in the community right now. We have parents and family members that are experiencing incredibly difficult situations, and I think it's important that we acknowledge and say, you know, at least myself, I've been speaking with our congressional delegation, other local leaders about how we can step in and stop some of these ICE raids and the damage that it's doing to our community. So I just think it was important to note that.
Thank you, Director Lynn. So noted. While we're on that topic, would anybody else like to add? No? Okay, great. Well, moving on to our next agenda item here, we have the approval of minutes from the October 22nd meeting. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the minutes from the October 22nd, 2025 meeting.
May we we have a second, please?
I'll second the minutes for October 22nd.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We have a vote, roll call. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. Thank you, Director Newman. Good to see you online. All right, next up is public forum, and I understand we have a robust list of folks who will be joining us for public comment tonight, and we are so grateful to have them with us. And as always, just as a reminder to everybody, we do welcome people to join us at these first governing board meetings in person. And if folks would like to submit public comment that way, they're always welcome to do so. During the public forum section of the agenda, individuals are welcome to share constructive feedback on district operations and programs. The purpose of this agenda item is for you to inform us about your views. By board policy, the board will not hear comments regarding any district staff member, and the use of appropriate and respectful language is expected. Board members will not respond to public comment and will refer matters of operations and programming to the superintendent's office. Your statement should be concise and will be limited 3 minutes. Your time will be monitored by our board executive assistant, Missy Grindle. Please address your remarks to me as board chair, not to specific board members nor the public. Thank you. Please state your name and spelling, if helpful, and your association with the Centennial School District.
So the first one is Jonathan Buffalo.
Oh, perfect. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Rockwell, and I am the band teacher at Oliver Middle School. I'm also the Centennial Education Association Vice President. I want to read you part of our recent CEA statement condemning ICE activity in our community. It reads as follows. ICE activity in or near our schools threatens the safety, well-being, and educational access of our students and families, many of whom are linguistically diverse and immigrants who enrich our community. These actions undermine our mission as public educators to provide equitable, inclusive, and safe learning environments for all students, regardless of immigration status. If you are interested in reading the full statement, it can be read on our public social media accounts, and Miss Melissa Grindle has a copy as well. As a person of privilege in our society, ICE actively hits home for me. I work with so many students who experience this reality on a regular basis. My school fields parent phone calls every day asking about the safety of our school. Questions such as, can their students walk home? And what are we doing as a school to protect them? When ICE activity is happening in and around our schools, you can feel the tension and the worry in the buildings. These are families that are the cornerstone of Centennial School District, hardworking individuals, families escaping poverty, families escaping failed governments, families wanting a better life for their children, and dreamers who have been here most of their lives. In the board's January 20th, 2025 proclamation, it is stated that the Centennial School District will continue to do everything in its power to protect, defend, and keep safe the children in our care, and that doing so is the responsibility of all Centennial School District staff, community partners, contractors, and board members. We are having a grassroots movement in our district among all of our schools and staff that goes above and beyond protecting our students. Staff throughout the district are helping provide food, run errands, plan safety routes, ride buses, and be a present body in case of ICE presence, and so much more. In a recent update to the community, Superintendent Owens reinforced different avenues for our community to seek immigration help and reaffirmed our ICE protocols. I want to thank Superintendent Owens and his team for that work. It is still not enough. It is up to our elected officials, our board members, who are supposed to be representatives of this district, to step up and acknowledge what is happening in our community and around our schools. We urge the board to join us in issuing a formal statement opposing ICE activity in and around our schools, recognize the hard work of Centennial staff, and to stand alongside our students and our families. Silence on this issue communicates indifference, and indifference is not leadership. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time tonight. In fact, this assistant, we have next,
Next is Drew Rosa, and Drew will be joining our meeting
excellent.
virtually.
Mr. Rosa, I see you entered the room. We're ready when you are, sir. Mr. Rosa, we are ready for you.
Usually helps if I unmute. Sorry, y'all. I was
Welcome.
going and
Yeah.
didn't realize that I was
Oh, goodness.
still muted.
We will restart the clock for you. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Directors, and Superintendent. My name is Drew Rosa. I am a fifth grade teacher over at Powell Butte Elementary School and the president of the Centennial Education Association. I want to start by acknowledging something positive. In labor management, we have made real progress this year, and I want to specifically recognize Paul and his maintenance team. They have been consistently responsive, solution-oriented, and quick to address concerns brought forward by educators. Their follow-through makes a real difference in our schools. While communication styles and perspectives can vary across the table, I do believe everyone is trying to support educators and solve problems. I appreciate the effort being made, and I want to continue building on that shared commitment. That's why the board's recent decision to deny our monthly CEA report is so disappointing. When voices of educators are restricted, the district loses essential insight. CEA and OSEA should have a standing, reliable place at this table, just as unions do in districts across Oregon. Because you cannot speak for education if you're not listening to educators. In place of the report we were unable to give, I want to briefly share two updates. First, labor management is an important space for addressing concerns at a lower level, but some issues require broader, system-wide dialogue and public transparency. Exactly the kind of dialogue that is core to true community schools, which I am committed to helping Centennial build. I also want to address something I've heard said recently, that naming concerns or calling out issues is somehow not collaborative. I would argue the opposite. True collaboration means being honest about what isn't working, welcoming multiple perspectives, and inviting shared problem solving. And that includes the board raising concerns with the union as well. We should all be able to speak openly. That is how trust grows, and that is how a district improves. Second, a brief bargaining update. The district has moved only 1% on COLA since their original proposal. In class size, kindergarten is still being proposed near 30 students, and stronger language from our previous contract has not been restored. And the district continues to push for additional educator time, which costs the district nothing but adds a significant strain to our staff. We have 2 bargaining sessions left on the books, Thursday, November 13th and Monday, November 17th. I invite each of you to attend. Seeing the process firsthand matters. Educators want collaboration. We want transparency. And we want a district where our voices are valued and not limited. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosa.
Yes.
Oh, I just said thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Our next is Monica Weathersby.
Okay, Monica Weathersby, you are next on our public comment. Ms. Weathersby, the floor is yours.
Thank you. It said join as a panelist, so I had to do that. Hello, my name is Monica Weathersby. I would like to address the chair and our board members. I appreciate you listening to me. I worked at Butler Creek as a fifth grade elementary teacher. And since then, I ran for the position of equity director at OEA. And I have been with the Centennial School District for over 10 years now. I'm bringing the issue of what Drew was talking about, communication. If we are going to work together to build a stronger community school, to build a place where our children feel welcome and our community is part of our school system, we have to communicate. And so it's bothering me that we're still online. There's many folks in our community who don't have computers or access to the internet still. And so to be equitable, we need to figure out pathways in which we can communicate our issues as well as some of the things that are going well. And if we're not listening to each other, there's no way we can really work on something together. And so I really appreciate all of you doing this really difficult task. Being a board member, it's a volunteer space, right? But I ask that our leaders who are paid by our community, that they make systems and structures that will allow all of us to communicate, because the real thing that we want to accomplish is that we have great schools that people graduate from that we can be proud of together. And we need to do that in collaboration. So I really appreciate you letting me speak today. And I look forward to learning about the ways in which you've improved collaboration between board members, educators, community, students, so that we can do a really great job together. Because it has not been easy these last few years. We've had some struggles at the state level. Funding is not adequate. We're working with fewer and fewer things. And so we definitely have to come together to cut out the red tape and to help our students to thrive. So I appreciate you, and I hope that we can work on that system so that it is doing the best we can for everyone. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Weathersby.
Next is Aiden Luke, but Aiden's having some issues logging in, so if we can go to the next one and then have Aiden join us.
Okay.
They're available. The next one is Stacy Fleck. I will bring her right now.
All right. Can you see me?
Yes. Good evening.
Can you
Welcome.
hear me? Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. Thank you so much. My name is Stacy Fleck. I am a 23-year veteran teacher at Centennial High School, and tonight I'm here to express my concern about the changes that have been made to the CTE Early Childhood Program of Study at CHS and the loss of student access to the on-site preschool. That preschool is a program that's over 30 years old. It's connected our high school students, preschoolers, and families in ways that have strengthened our community. This change has had serious negative impacts. A direct result of Preschool for All taking over the on-site preschool is that our high school students enrolled in our early childhood program have limited or no opportunities to work directly with preschoolers now. By replacing our longstanding CTE preschool, CSD has negatively impacted the early childhood program. Current and future students will earn fewer dual credits and have significantly fewer hands-on opportunity. This loss extends beyond academics. Our students are missing meaningful relationship building with the preschoolers they once mentored, as well as with the families and educators who supported them. These interactions nurtured empathy, leadership, and a sense of community pride. Furthermore, this change does not align with CSD's goals of Roadmap 27, Educators Rising, or the Preschool for All initiative. Those frameworks emphasize equity, access, and mixed delivery models that give families choice. Goal 4 of our profile of a graduate specifies ensuring equitable access to high-quality academics where students receive the necessary support and resources to ensure their success in the academic pathway of their choosing. By not allowing students into the preschool regularly, we're closing this academic pathway. Moreover, I have spoken with several PFA staff, and this is purely a CSD administrative decision. Room 116, the classroom that the former ECE was ran out of, sits empty, unused right now. Students, community, and staff children could be accessing that room immediately if the board intervened. I urge the board to restore a CTE preschool experience that supports our high school students' career learning, our preschoolers' growth, and our community's shared future. I hope as the board, you share my concern, and as the governing body that guides our superintendent, I ask you to take the necessary steps to return access to this room to the CTE department and allow our community preschool to begin second trimester so current students can receive dual credit and gain professional skills in their chosen academic pathway per your district's mission. Again, room 116 sits empty. We could be operating immediately. I really do thank you for your time and your commitment to what's doing the right thing for our students and their future.
Thank you, Ms. Fleck. Appreciate your time tonight.
Aiden will be joining us.
Excellent. Hello, Aiden. We're ready for you.
Great. Sorry, I got like a notification that I had been invited to join as a panelist, but then I couldn't hear what else was actually going on in the meeting for a second there. Hello. My name is Aiden. I am a social studies teacher at the high school and a CEA building rep. I'm here to talk about a few things this evening. I think a really great transition point from what Stacy was just talking about a moment ago is the directive that we hear a lot from the district is about the need to be student-centered. One of the things that I want to talk about today is the fact that staff working conditions and student learning conditions are the same. Their learning school environment is our working environment. And so when staff aren't getting what they need, we can't turn around and provide students with what they need in turn. So obviously one of the huge concerns with that, the elephant in the room, is the contract. And as a staff member myself and as a CEA rep, one of the things that I can provide perspective on is that there's just a widespread perception among staff that our work is not valued. And that is only further fed upon when we see proposals from the district that don't reflect any kind of what appears to be any kind of interest in providing reasonable compensation for our work, in helping to maintain reasonable class sizes and caseloads. Staff are struggling to keep up with the numbers of students they're expected to serve, with all of the different ways that they're expected to serve them, and have seen, our compensation compared to other similar districts drop. And that feeds into this perception that the work that we do every day is not actually respected and is not actually valid. I also want to talk about, frankly, the contract and the necessity of our administration actually following it to the letter. As a CEA rep, I have had multiple accounts of staff members being called into meetings that end up being about some sort of complaint, something that could lead to disciplinary action. They're not notified about what that complaint is, the nature of it, who made it ahead of time, which is something required in Section 7 of the contract. They are sometimes having these issues brought up to them in meetings where they don't have a CEA rep present, or where admin has brought in a CEA rep, but the contract states explicitly, again, in Section 7, that members have a right to choose their representation. I've had an administrator tell me and a staff member that they were not beholden to scheduling a meeting about a complaint that could lead to disciplinary action based on a rep's availability, admin is absolutely beholden to do that. That is in the contract. If an admin is not beholden to do that, then meaningfully the right to representation does not exist. And this cavalier attitude to these meetings that can result in disciplinary action, again, just feeds into this perception that we are not respected as professionals, we are not respected as educators, and the work that we do is not seen as valuable or important. We have students, in turn,
Aiden,
who
if I
feel
may,
that
Aiden, if I
Yeah.
may, just for 1 second, apologies for interrupting. We have gone over 3 minutes for your time. We kindly ask that you wrap up in the next 30 seconds.
Okay. We have students who continue to be deeply concerned about their safety at school, both in terms of communication that they get from the school to them and their families about instances of violence in the community, and in terms of proactive statements of support from the district about the serious threat posed to them by ICE.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Next individual is Amanda Casab.
Hello, Ms. Kassab, we're ready for you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Amanda Kassab Johnson, and I'm speaking tonight both as a parent and as an employee in the district. I'm here to share my frustration with the limited communication and lack of transparency from the Centennial school districts in regard to how, as a district, we support our community. As an employee, I keep hearing that the community is engaged and that feedback has been gathered. However, as a parent and community member, I have to ask, who is being engaged? My neighbors don't seem to be aware of what's happening in the district. That tells me that we are reaching some people, but certainly not the whole community. As a parent, I appreciate the superintendent's updates. However, our community exists far beyond the families currently enrolled in school. There are grandparents, business owners, caregivers, neighbors, and longtime residents who care deeply about public education and want to support what is happening in their district. They deserve to be informed too. If we only communicate with people who are already connected, we are leaving out a significant part of our community, including some of our most vulnerable families. This becomes even more concerning given the realities of our community is facing right now. SNAP benefits are being cut, grocery prices are rising, housing instability is increasing, and in some of our neighborhoods, ICE activity is creating fear and uncertainty. These are not abstract issues. They directly impact our students' ability to learn and to attend school consistently, as well as feel safe. We all know that children cannot focus on academics when their basic needs are not met. Families who are hungry, scared, or overwhelmed cannot fully engage in the school system. So tonight, I'm asking you, what will the board do to ensure that communication reaches beyond the small portion of the community we currently access? What will you do to make sure that every family, every neighborhood, and every resident understands what is happening in our districts and where they can go for support? From our vantage point, it appears that the district is unaware of the challenges of our current reality, while our community is struggling to survive. Our families deserve more than narrow communication channels. They deserve to be seen, supported, and informed. I am asking the board to push genuine, intentional, community-wide support and engagement that enhances the safety and security of the Centennial community. Thank you, and thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. Do we have anyone else for public comment?
We do.
We do. Okay, perfect.
Next, we have Lyle Russell.
Mr. Russell, we're ready for you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. I want to thank you guys for your time. Good evening. My name is Lyle Russell. I am a parent of a student who is in the early childhood education program with the Centennial High School that Mrs. Fleck had spoke on earlier. And I want to speak in part of my concern on that program. As a parent, we chose the Little Eagle program for our children because of the program itself and its model, the one-on-one interaction with the students and the preschoolers. We found that to be very valuable, and ultimately, we took our kids away from the traditional preschool setting and chose the Little Eagle program for that reason, understanding that our child in preschool would always have a one-on-one interaction with their teacher, the high school student, with the oversight of the program director, Mrs. Fleck, in that case for us. We were so happy with that program over the years. As a state registered daycare, we continuously referred it to every family that we had who had children going into the preschool age range. And I can't attest to how many of those families went there, but we do know at least a few that did. It was a great program for preschoolers, especially when you guys are talking about inclusion and diversity. Like, this is an opportunity for these little preschoolers to interact with teachers who look like them, sound like them, live like them on a wide range. By closing that program down or changing the model and how it works, from my understanding of how it is, you are taking that away from a large portion of the community. In addition to that, the program offered a deeply valuable experience for us with the field trips, the connection with those students to our children, who they still go back to this day and relook at those photo albums that they got from the preschool, sharing their memories. We are now finding out that additionally, they are trying to take away the college credits earned for these children, the high schoolers. My daughter has went from a student in the preschool to a student in the Child Development and Theory high school program. She has planned her part of her life around the college credit that she would receive in that, looking to go into engineering and child education as her college path. So she has spent all of last year in that class to meet her prerequisites to enter into the Child Development and Theory portion of the class so that she could earn her college credits. And now she's being told that she's going to lose all or a portion of those college credits moving forward. I ask that the board do their part wholeheartedly to preserve this program, keep the promises that were made to these students, and the students coming forward in the future. This is a great program for those students and for the preschoolers as well. This is the only opportunity that these preschoolers have to have a preschool where, again, they get to be taught by people who look like them, sound like them, live like them, in a one-on-one interaction, even in group settings. It is a deeply meaningful program for both the preschoolers and the high schoolers. And I thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. And do we have one more?
Two more, actually.
Two more, actually. Okay, great.
We have a Michael Miller.
All right. Am I able to be heard?
Yes, Mr. Miller, go ahead.
Well, all right, wonderful. I will try to power through this. My voice is a bit shot today. I spent the better part of last night helping try to coach the boys soccer team to a victory in the state semifinal playoff game. And the consequence of that is I sound a bit gruff, but I want to open with that because a little over 20 years ago, I myself was a player on the field playing and our own state semifinal. After that time as a player at Centennial, I was fortunate enough to go on to play soccer at Oregon State University. I got my teaching degree and I got some real world experience that was invaluable and irreplaceable to the person who I am today. After Oregon State, I had the fortuitous luck to go travel and teach in the country of South Korea for 5 years, both at a middle school, high school, and private academy setting. I came back to Centennial despite having traveled the world, knowing that this is where I wanted to be, because I wanted to pay back the debt of the educators who had made my life impactful and try to make it as impactful for the students that we have with us. My reason for speaking today is that there are hundreds of other teachers like myself who have the qualifications and experiences to make a change in the students' lives. The problem we face is that the change that we are trying to create sometimes takes creative planning or creative programming to ensure that these changes can be impactful. Unfortunately, the reality is the more we bring these creative ideas forward, the less we are supported. The checkbox culture and systematic design that allows for a single unilateral path for us to support our students oftentimes shuts down opportunities that many teachers like myself would like to be able to provide. I'm coming today to ask for you to try to encourage a more collaborative, creative, and open-minded perspective from the administration to support our students. Nothing can be done when dealing with human capital if we treat our students and our teachers like cogs in the machine. We need to have the dynamic flexibility to meet people not only where they're at, but to take them where they want to go. And so for that, I would like to encourage you to support all open channels of communication from teachers, community members, parents, to make this community school district the kind of district that can continue to grow and promote from within. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Last public comment came in just momentarily. Camille Garrett.
Excellent.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, Ms. Garrett, go right ahead.
As a kindergarten parent, I'm concerned with the high teacher to student ratio at my child's school. She attends Patrick Lynch Elementary. Are there any plans in place to staff appropriately and make sure that students are getting the attention and support that they need and teachers aren't being overextended? Elementary school is a critical time for a child's learning, and it is important that they're set up for success in their educational endeavors. The teachers at Patrick Lynch have been excellent and are extremely knowledgeable and passionate about their job. They go above and beyond for their students. It is important that those teachers are supported and not overloaded with large class sizes so as to retain these outstanding educators. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Garrett. We appreciate you being here with us tonight. I believe that concludes public forum for this evening. Director, just a quick check around the room. Continue on, or do we need a short break? Continue on, perfect. We thank everybody again for joining us for public comment and do invite folks to join us at all of our governing board meetings the second Wednesday of every month. Next on our agenda is reports. We'll be starting with our student representative, Yahir Castro.
Good evening, board. It's always a pleasure to be here. Oops, I didn't share my screen. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. This month of October and November has been a bit short. We're just kind of wrapping things up from homecoming and student council, so there's not much going on. But first we had our trunk or treat, which was run by student council. Different people could sign up to the trunk or treat, and it was held in front of the tennis courts on football senior night. So it was actually really fun, and a lot of elementary students came. And then we have our penny wars. It was a class competition between all the grades. Pennies were positive, dollar bills, and all silver coins were negatives. Seniors ended up winning, so I was pretty happy. All of the money was donated to the American Cancer Society. And then the way that this worked was that each grade had their own jug, and they would go around the cafeteria and during both lunches to encourage students to donate. Then we also have our fall recognition assembly. We saw a lot of more student engagement in this assembly, and we also had our not guest speaker, but he was a guest at our assembly, and he taught us an indigenous game, and he mentioned how important indigenous culture was in our community, as well as recognizing Indigenous Heritage Month. We also had our fall recognitions, recognizing all the sports and their accomplishments. Yes, not a lot this month, but here are some more pictures of the trunk or treat. Thank you.
Thank you, Yahir. Directors, any questions for Yahir? Yes, Director Harden.
I had a question. Do you happen to know by chance how much money was raised in the penny wars?
I think it was nearly $300.
Nice.
It's impressive considering the small denomination.
A lot of pennies.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, great job. Great
Thank
job,
you.
CSS. Thank you. Directors, anything else for Yahir? Okay, thank you again. And next report, we have Director Denise Wright with Student Services joining us.
Good evening, board members. I am here to share our annual behavior safety assessment and restraint and seclusion annual report. This should be familiar to all of you, thinking about you all have been here in previous years. After reviewing this report, all of you as board members will be able to continue to deepen your awareness of the district systems, specifically the processes that include our behavior safety assessment teams, our sexual incident response teams, and restraint and seclusion processes. You'll also be able to review multi-year data, and you will also receive the required information about restraint and seclusion from last year. To set the stage for this, it really sits within kind of this bell curve when we think about prevention is where we want to spend the majority of our time. We do know that there will be events that occur that lead to us needing to have a response and provide supports around recovery. So this also sits within our multi-tiered systems of support, and we think about tier 1 as something that we want each and every student to be exposed to have experiences with, to have those preemptive and preventative opportunities. We do know that there are some students who need some reteaching, some additional supports, and kind of smaller group opportunities, whether that's in the class or throughout a building. And then there are individual students who have very specific needs that we need to follow up on. And so our prevention can be monitored and connected with all of these, and you'll see opportunities where this comes into play. Many of the things that are connected with prevention, we really do want to call out. And so all of our classroom and school-wide expectations support that prevention work. All of the things that our classroom teachers are doing around their culturally responsive and student-centered teaching and learning really helps to set the stage of building those classrooms that are full of welcoming and supportive and inclusive climates. We have transformative social emotional learning standards that are supposed to be embedded throughout a student's school day. They're not supposed to just be during a morning meeting that happens right at the beginning of the day, but more interwoven throughout the school day, those connections with people at lunch, on the school bus, and throughout those instructional moments in the day. We do have amazing counselors, social workers, and school psychologists that are at all of our buildings. This year, we have an increased amount of mental health providers. So we're up to about 6 to 7 community-based organizations, and it makes me teary because I just think about many of the folks' comments and shared that we do have many, many resources that are available to our students and the community. And the competitive part of me likes to name that we have more mental health providers and more organizations within our small little tiny district than many of the other districts surrounding us. And that is a place that I would love to continue to keep winning. So we have amazing community partners that support in prevention services. Many of them are culturally specific. And we do have a really strong connection with the city of Gresham, especially with their youth prevention and community violence prevention organization. And so they are a wealth of information. We connect students with them, and they also help to provide supports when we need in a variety of different situations. You can also see we have a variety of other things. We provide affinity spaces for students. We do think about staff in this context as well. There's social committees, there's staff morale, there's emergency assistance programs. All of these are preventative pieces that we have in place. And then there's several things that you can see listed here that have italics. They can be seen as preventative and also responsive. And so many of our situations, if we think about responsive standard response protocols, those are things that we practice in prevention so that if something were to happen, we can respond really quickly. We have the Safe Oregon tip line. We have that so that we can prevent situations, and we also can respond to something that happens. Same with our suicide prevention work, our non-crisis prevention interventions, and our behavior safety and sexual incident responses. Having practices in place that staff are aware of, that they put into practice often, once they need it, and have that familiarization, that helps with the prevention side, and then they're also able to respond, and through those responses, that does help to complete the cycle of going back to prevention if themes are seen or additional needs come up. So with that, just to share reminders around the goals and the purposes of behavior safety assessment and sexual incident response, it really is a way to investigate threats and or actions that are made towards others, and it helps school teams in developing a plan. That plan should consist of supervision, intervention, instruction, and how do we maintain this plan. This does help teams to assess potential risk, and it really helps to identify what are some protective factors that are in place for a student or a group of students, and if they're not in place, how can we incorporate that into a plan? These are not meant to be an opportunity to label students and or 100% guarantee that something isn't going to happen, but they really are meant to bring a group of people together to consider an event, take in information, and really be mindful and intentional about the planning for next steps. When we shifted from threat assessment to behavior safety assessment, there really was a bigger expansion of who was involved, and it is about that shared responsibility and liability. This is not a process that just sits with one individual. It's including input from teachers, including input from admin, including input from students, as well as family members and others who are connected with students in situations. It helps because of the team effort that a lot of information can be gathered in a short period of time. Before, when we had one person who was gathering all of this information from a lot of people, that could take multiple days. Now we can have a team divide up what needs to be gathered, and then they can come back to review that information in a shorter period of time. It really, again, focuses on protective factors. That's a huge piece of this. And then when needed, increased supervision and monitoring for students. And we know that risk can always change, and it's really about the context. So something might occur with a student in one context, and it might not ever happen again because kind of all those variables haven't come together. So we also can't just say that because the student has said something or done something in this situation that it's always going to happen or it will happen repeatedly. We have to take all those variables into account. And then for students who are needing a higher level, a level 2, which I'll talk about in a minute, we do have a broader based community group that meets weekly that really helps to problem solve and has a wide net connected with many, many resources if needed. You can see we have the 3 levels, which should be very familiar. We have our level 0 inquiry, and this is as soon as a threat is made aware to admin, and it can come from teacher, it can come from a family member, it can come from a student. They gather their direct team members together, which is typically a school psych and a school counselor and an admin, to talk through what do we know so far? Do we have enough information that we can go through a level 0 and complete that? Or are there too many questions that we need to go to a level 1? You can see a level 1 has a larger team. It typically takes longer. There's many, many, many more interviews included in that, and there can be some additional folks that are brought in if they know the student. Does the student have a case manager? Are they connected already to mental health services? They might be brought in. And then again, a level 2 is a community-based standing team that is facilitated through the Multnomah Education Service District. We have representations from all of our school districts within Multnomah County. We have law enforcement, we have DHS presence, we have juvenile justice presence, we have multiple of our community outreach groups are a part of that as well. And that is an opportunity to go deep with a very concerning situation. So there's specific criteria that would lead to a level 2, and at that point it's often when schools or a district is outside of what it can do to offer resources and or to connect with those supervisors in other agencies that can help pull some levers to get either some resources to students and families more quickly. So data that we have here, you can see this is our yearly comparison. So we have about a 5-year comparison. And the blue line is our inquiry. That's level 0. That is typically the highest one, and that's okay because we continue to share with administrators and other staff that we take each and every threat serious. And so if it's from a kindergartner on the playground who just got kicked in the head with a soccer ball and let that person know that they were going to kill them, to a high school student who has shared Snapchats with very explicit information, we want to take all of those seriously. How we respond to them after that might be differently, but we don't want to let any threats go without an assessment of that. And so we would expect the inquiries would be the highest. You can see with our level 1s, they drop down, but they're pretty consistent over time. Last year, we did not have any students who their need warranted a level 2, and part of that was we can access a lot of the resources that are at level 2 within district, and the circumstances surrounding things didn't warrant that as well, but we always have that as an option. And then our sexual incidents have kind of gone up and down, and we're down a little bit last year. We also have a breakdown of what it looks like, which buildings where are having our behavior safety assessments. And so you can see our elementary had a larger group last year, our middle school next, and then the high school level. And again, an indication of this is recognizing that we take every threat serious, and so it's all right. And we also want to make sure that all of the processes that are happening at the building level make it to us so that we can collect that data. Principal Miller and I were discussing that the high school number looks a little low to me percentage-wise, and so we're just going to double check and make sure that things are coming in where they need to. We also keep data on monitoring race, ethnicity, and gender because we want to make sure, one, are we checking our biases when it comes to situations and circumstances? That's a part of it. And also, if there's trends between different groups, this can also be an opportunity for us to connect with some of our culturally specific providers, to connect with mentorship, or to bring in some other opportunities. And so that is something that we monitor for as well. Any questions about behavior safety assessment before I move to restraint seclusion?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the Team 2 response.
Yes.
Of course, we hope gun shootings are, shootings are incredibly rare, and we, of course, we want to prevent a catastrophic gun shooting or shooting. Is there a policy or procedures to escalate? I know there's questions about the presence of firearms in the household, but is there then an escalation of potentially triggering red flag laws or like involuntarily using law enforcement to remove the firearms from a home?
Yes, so within the level 1 process, there are very specific questions that will automatically get the situation sent to a level 2, and depending on the degree to which firearms are involved. And we also have a working relationship with law enforcement, and so if needed, we can do welfare checks. And so there have been times when, if there haven't been like specific allegations of a weapon, but there's been reference to, we've worked with law enforcement to do home safety checks, and as a part of that, they inform families that they can voluntarily give up any weapons if they want to, and so there's opportunities within law enforcement to store those. And then we do also provide, we have gun locks in partnership with law enforcement that have provided those, so there's several ways that that can be handled with. And if there is direct contact with a weapon and it's been visually identified, that often is an escalation to a level 2.
Okay, would that involve, say, like a parent? I think there was a case in another state. The parents still supplied the student with a firearm. Is there any trigger where it would be letting, involving law enforcement of taking the guns away from the parents?
I can't speak directly to law enforcement's ability to take guns involuntarily from a family, but they are very explicit with families in what families potentially could be condoning if they're aware of their students' access to guns, if they're aware of the threats that we're sharing with them. So there's a whole process that law enforcement shares with families if they're going out to visit.
But nothing you could trigger?
There's not something I specifically can do to say to law enforcement, go take their guns, but we can share, we have extreme concerns. That's part of where we would consult with Neil O'Donnell, our district safety liaison, and those are often conversations he's having with the police as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I follow up on that
Yeah.
question? I'm curious, at what point, these numbers look decent, and I get the emails from the school telling me all the things that are happening. And so I'm curious, at what point are we going to start looking at potentially some sort of metal detector or something, so that if we know kids are bringing guns into our schools, our kids are not safe. And so when do we feel like that becomes part of the conversation?
Those are great questions. I might look at Paul in a second. And through this behavior safety assessment process, we have a very, very low number of actual identified weapons that has been. So that, not to say that there are weapons in our community. We're well aware of that. In specific instances with students who there have been and weapons can take multiple forms. We have specific backpack checks that are conducted. There's a very specific practice. We have had with some students to use wands to do specific metal detection for them, because we have some students who are very creative and where they can hide some things. And so depending on the student, the situation, what's been a part of the identification of a weapon, there's multiple things that we can do around that.
Great. I would say that by making it available so that all students have to go through the metal detectors, you're not calling out any specific student to say, I need to wand you. And so I'd love to start that conversation if we can.
Thanks.
Director Harden?
Oh, yeah, my question is on prevention, the community partners, the resources available. How are we advertising that or informing people of these resources?
Yep, that is a great question. So with the increased mental health providers, all of our school counselors, all of our school psychologists, and our school social workers have been informed and are provided the referrals for those resources. And so students can be referred directly from their counselor or from our building tier 2 team. So a student might rise to a tier 2 or a tier 3 where they're struggling with potential mental health needs. There might be some behavioral needs that are coming up, and the team thinks that a mental health provider might be a resource. We also have families that directly contact their counselors and share, our family's been experiencing this loss or this death in the family. Are there any resources available? And so counselors can do a direct referral to families that way as well. They are all on a referral basis, and so we do try to channel them through our counselors and our tiered systems so that we can also monitor how much need is coming in and to make sure that those referrals can be processed. And I believe, if I'm looking at Mr. Miller, in his newsletter, there's often information about a variety of resources that are also available. So that is a place where some of the buildings are advertising too.
Okay, so it's more on a case-by-case individual basis versus a community-wide, these resources are available to you?
Yep. Yeah, especially when it comes to mental health resources. We do advertise more broadly when we think about like our school-based mental health center, or school-based health center. They provide mental health services, so that's a place where we do more broad advertisement.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Can you go back to the race, ethnicity, gender
Yes.
page? And I'll turn my mic on.
Yep.
Do we know where the percentage of our students, so for example, over 75% of the things were African, or sorry, Hispanic? Is that, or
This is
male?
male. This
Okay,
is
I'm sorry,
male.
I
Yep.
can't see from far away.
Yes.
Do we know correlation, or what's the word where it's like, what percentage of our students are that, so we can determine if if we're having a higher percentage of a specific population with issues?
Yes. We do have that disproportionate data, and I had the slide in, and then I took it out because I was like, Claudia's not here. Yeah. So I can follow back up with that. And to the bar that is the highest, our gender balance is almost at 50. It's like 48, 51. So clearly our males disproportionately are showing up in this, and there are a couple other groups that disproportionately are showing up.
Yeah, I'd be
well.
really interested to see the difference in the racial groups. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else for Director Wright, Director Rios?
Okay. At least for this, we
For
have
that
part
section,
two of
yes,
them.
yes.
Yes, yes. All right. Restraint and seclusion. So within the PowerPoint that was shared with you all, the full report is included. And so these are the highlights. Approximately 175 staff were trained last year, which is a really great, healthy number. That means we have staff in every single one of our buildings, and we have anywhere from 5 to 10 people trained in a building. We, for physical restraints, last year we had approximately 40 events, and this included 16 students. And so with that, you can tell that there were 9 students who had multiple events needing restraint and seclusion. There were 3 students who had 5 or more incidents. So kind of a really small, even though there were 40 incidents, when we think about that number to the number of students that it was impacting is a very small number. We did not have any incidents that included extended physical restraint or seclusion at all within the district, and extended physical restraint counts as anything over 30 minutes. There were, oh, thanks. Am I not loud enough?
It's glitching.
Okay, it's glitching. Thanks. All right, hopefully this is not glitching. We additionally had 5 physical restraints for students who attend a site at the Multnomah Education Service District. This number has drastically gone down from previous years. They have incorporated some new strategies and some new techniques, and so that's limiting the amount of times that they're needing to have hands-on students for that to be safe. Overall, for the whole number of students, there were approximately 19% occurred with white students, which were 3 of the students. 25% were with our black students. So, Rose, to your point, we have approximately 8% of our students district-wide are black. And so 25% of them, which is 4 in this instance, so that's a very disproportionate number there. We had 31% were our students who identify as multiracial, which was 5 students. And then for restraint and seclusion, we had approximately 62% of the students were male and 38% were female. 98% of the 16 students are students who experience disability who were involved with restraint and seclusion. And then we had 0 seclusions. And one thing that I do want to point out, given the high percentage of our students who experience disability, for any student, if they've had a restraint or a seclusion, if the team predicts that this is something that will happen again, or if the student needs this level of support, they build in a support plan around that, and they have very specific conversations with families in the need of, this is our threshold, this is when we would do this, this is when we would need to call you. So all of those pieces are shared with families, and the teams really work through. And what are our other options instead of needing to put hands on students for themselves or others to stay safe. Injuries, last year we did have 15 staff and or students who were injured. The majority of those injuries were scratching, biting. There were minor injuries, but we still recognize that there were injuries. And then we did have 2 staff who were non-trained in incidents, and both of those situations were emergencies that needed to support other students' safeties, which we need to keep everyone safe. And then we have multiple steps. We still continue to support embedding our trauma-informed practices and strategies for staff. And a part of that has to do with staff also recognizing what kind of their emotional cycles are so that they can stay as calm as possible if students are becoming escalated, and then how to intervene when students are escalated. We still consider our multi-tiered systems of support as a piece for students who might be struggling more, or are there pockets or situations that we see are leading to student escalation? How can we support that? And we also collaborate with the Multnomah Education Service District on a variety of areas, both for the students that they're supporting, but also for our students. Any questions for restraint and seclusion?
Have we had any complaints from parents about restraint? And have we had any grievances or complaints from staff about being injured in the course of it?
We have not had any formal complaints as of last year for families around any restraints inclusions. Many of the conversations, especially for students who have one or more restraint, the concern from families is also voiced during those debrief meetings. And one of the required pieces of this is that a report has to be written by the staff who were involved, and then within 24 hours, we need to have a debrief with families. And so that's a time when families are sharing concerns of, oh no, somebody said this, when we know that this is a trigger for the student, let's make sure that we don't say that, and let's put this into their plan. Or they might be saying, this has happened too many times, we need to figure something else for my child. Is this the best setting? So those conversations are happening in that sense. They're not necessarily coming to a formal complaint. And then with staff, we receive, and I receive, specific injury reports that are filled out, and then we follow up with staff if I see patterns that are emerging in schools, and especially with the numbers. We had a couple schools last year, specifically 2 elementary schools, that had repeated situations involving the same students. And so that's a time last year that I reached out to the building and said, we can have our nonviolent crisis prevention trainers come out to the building and meet with you all specifically to be in your space to talk through the students that you're working to support and to problem solve how this can be better and safer for you all. And so that's one option. We do also provide students or staff with safety items such as Kevlar sleeves. Those have been provided so that if students are scratching or trying to bite someone, which might lead to potentially a restraint, that they can have some pieces in place to support themselves too.
Great, that's the main point of my question is, yeah, do they feel supported in these very difficult situations where they're possibly getting hurt?
Yeah, I hope they are, and we want to be as responsive as possible for staff and for students.
Dr. Slawski?
I have 2 questions. One, so when you're talking about issues coming up, oftentimes, in my experience, I'm like, oh, that's an IEP meeting. So like, do you guys have the flexibility to do those in between IEP meetings and to move quicker so that you don't, aren't limited by that?
Yes, because we are required to meet within the time frame if this occurs. And so from that meeting, one of the next steps might be we need to call an IEP review so we can be more thorough. But these have to happen right away. And part of the specific questions in the form is really what happened, how do we think we can avoid this in the future, and what can we do differently? And again, that's where sometimes it's like we need to revise the student's 5-point plan. We might need to update a behavior safety plan. We need to think about some different goals or accommodations in their IEP.
Have we paid any attention to the impact on learning time that these situations caused in a given classroom? I'm curious, is it these situations, are they in a youth in a class full of students that then has to room clear and do all of that? Or is it on more of a one-on-one setting, so it's not really impactful of instructional time?
Right, it happens in both instances. So sometimes a student might be escalated while they're in a classroom, and before restraints needed, the teacher may realize, like, I do need to do a room clear, or it might be a part of a student's plan, so that might be one option. And then those won't show up necessarily in restraint data. If the team is able to, we'll do a room clear, the student can de-escalate, and then we can bring everybody back in. There are situations where, restraining a student anytime is really intense for the student and others involved. And so wanting to minimize the impact for other students and other staff is something they're often really, really trying to do. And
Yeah.
so it's like, how can we get the student out of the class and maybe into one of the safer spaces? So, and we don't have specific data of how we monitor for the students who are restrained,
Yeah.
but not necessarily what was the interruption to everyone
To- yeah.
else. Yeah, but
Thank
that's
you.
a great thing to wonder.
Yes, Director Stanley.
I'm going to try to articulate this. Having been in these situations, do the schools have things in place to help the teachers and the students have some sort of restorative processes? Is one question. And secondary question, are there ongoing trainings with like co-regulation and other sort of strategies to just purely focus on staff and their own well-being with these? Because these are trauma impacting for our teachers and staff just as well for the kids. So.
We can always get better at all of those. And to your first question of what does kind of the repair look like after something has happened, and we have our building principals and our school counselors often will connect with a teacher if something has happened, especially significant. We want our building administrators to be there right away, and depending on who's closest, what's going on, it might be a counselor connecting with them to really figure out what do you in your classroom need at this moment. And depending on the teacher, sometimes teachers themselves, because especially at elementary, they're so used to doing morning meetings and circling students up, they might feel comfortable enough facilitating that conversation. Other times they might want somebody to come in and facilitate. Sometimes it looks like an admin hopping into a classroom and that teacher popping out and doing some restorative work with a student. So there's a variety of options that can be used in that. And again, we can always get better at that, and we want our staff to know that that is a process, that if they're needing that in their classrooms needing that it's available and can be utilized for sure. And then your second question with thinking about co-regulation, those techniques have been built in over the last couple years with our engaging equity content that we've been doing once a month with staff. And so last year was really, really heavy on, because as adults and being in a classroom, that we have to regulate ourselves and know how to regulate ourselves to help mirror that with other students and to be there for the students in our class. And so that's an ongoing part of professional development for staff.
Great, thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Right, Director, is there anything else for Director Wright? Oh, thank you very much.
All right.
Presentation.
Hopefully your knowledge is deeper. Thank you for those questions and appreciate you all.
Okay, next up on reports is you, Superintendent Owens.
Thank you, Vice Chair Mooring. Appreciate the board hanging in there too. This evening you get a medium-large report. Greetings, board members. It is my pleasure and privilege to share with you this update about happenings in our school district. To start things off this month, the district office display board features cardboard relief landscapes made by students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in Mr. Sid Peck's class at Centennial Middle School. Cardboard relief landscapes are a type of 3D artwork created by layering pieces of cardboard on a flat base to form a landscape scene with depth. This technique builds up the image from back to front using different layers of cardboard to create a sense of dimension, making elements like mountains or trees appear to stand out from the background. So thank you to Mr. Peck and the students of Centennial Middle School for helping us feature those this month. As was indicated by the board's proclamation, November is National Native American Heritage Month. This month provides an opportunity to celebrate the rich and diverse cultures, traditions, and histories, and to acknowledge the important contributions of Native people. During the week of November 3rd through 7th, the National Association of School Psychologists in schools across the U.S. recognized National School Psychology Week. This week celebrated the contributions of school psychologists and the role they play in schools and communities helping children thrive. This year's theme, Finding Your Path, recognized the ways that school psychologists take an active role in helping everyone in their communities determine paths to learning, growth, and overall well-being that meet their unique needs. On Tuesday, November 18th, we will convene our first data summit of the 25-26 school year. As a part of Roadmap 27 implementation cycle, these summits provide a structured opportunity for school leadership teams to analyze student data, reflect on instructional practices, and refine their school improvement plans based on current trends and needs. This year, we have transitioned from contracted support from Performance Fact. That means that the district is assuming planning and facilitation of district and school improvement work like the Data Summit. The day will include collaborative learning on data access, data literacy, and high leverage instructional practices, as well as time for teams to engage in deep analysis of academic and engagement data. Participants will identify key strengths and areas for growth and begin developing responsive action plans to guide their next steps. These plans will inform ongoing school-based learning and will be revisited at our Winter Data Summit in March. Our efforts with Centennial High School will look a little bit different this year, and we will be planning a school-specific data summit focused specifically on 9th and 10th grade on a different date here shortly. This intentional rhythm of learning and planning continues to serve as an anchor for system-wide improvement efforts and helps ensure alignment between data, strategy, and instructional leadership at every school. As part of our phased implementation of the profile of a Centennial graduate, the district will launch its pilot cohort work with an initial session on Tuesday, December 3rd. This first convening will bring together a representative group of classroom educators and instructional leaders who have committed to piloting deeper learning experiences tied to the profile of a Centennial graduate attributes. The pilot is designed to be a learning journey that involves testing ideas, reflecting on practices, and refining approaches before expanding more broadly across the system. Pilot teachers and students will be co-designing instructional experiences that reflect the competencies within our profile of a Centennial graduate, while also helping to identify what supports are most needed to bring this vision to life in everyday classroom practice. Future sessions are scheduled through the spring, culminating in a student summit in May of 2026. Along the way, stories, classroom artifacts, and examples of student voice will be shared to inform future scaling and deepen staff understanding of this work. On October 29th, the district held its educational summit as an important component of our long-range facility planning process. This event brought together a diverse group of educators and school leaders to explore the relationship between our educational vision and the learning environments needed to improve it. Participants reflected on the current student experience, imagined future possibilities, and contributed ideas that will help shape design priorities as we continue this planning process. The session focused on creating learning spaces that are flexible, inclusive, and responsive to student needs. Themes include outdoor learning, student agency, cultural representation, and instructional innovation. A summary of the session has been compiled by our consultants at DLR Group that will be reviewed and released shortly. We anticipate sharing more as the planning work continues and the ideas generated are integrated into our next steps. Earlier this month, Director of Business and Operations Paul Southerton and I met with members of our transportation department for our twice-yearly collaborative work session. This is an evolution from the listening sessions we've held in previous years to more solution-oriented meetings where staff help co-construct responses to challenges they themselves have identified. It was encouraging to see the level of ownership that department staff are taking in naming the problems of practice and then offering ideas for improvement. These sessions continue to strengthen our shared commitment to operational excellence and student support. It was Halloween, but it was Halloween last year, so we didn't take a photo this time, so you get last year's picture. But there were costumes last year. In recent weeks, we've taken coordinated steps to reaffirm our commitment to immigrant students and families. In addition to the board's proclamation adopted in January, the district issued a message to all families on October 10th, outlining our policies related to immigration enforcement. That message was also shared with staff along with multilingual flyers that are now posted at every school site. Additionally, we continue to collaborate with our community partners and neighboring school districts, ensuring regional awareness and alignment. These efforts reflect our responsibility to ensure that students and families feel safe and supported as possible while on campus. Key staff have been trained to follow clear protocols, including elevating any immigration-related concerns to district leadership. While no enforcement activity has taken place on school property to date, our goal is to maintain preparedness, promote accurate information, and to uphold the welcoming environment that students are entitled to. Additional information and multilingual resources are available on our district website. On Tuesday, November 5th, I joined counterparts from neighboring districts of Reynolds and Gresham-Barlow for a meeting with Gresham Mayor Travis Stovall. The gathering provided an opportunity to share updates from our schools, service pressing issues affecting our students and families, including immigration enforcement, and strengthen the collaborative relationship between the city and local school districts. While much of the conversation centered on shared challenges and community impact, it also reinforced the value of continued partnership in support of young people that we collectively serve. On a related note, recently I joined Gresham Police Chief Travis Goldberg, Iman Gassemi of the East Multnomah Outreach Prevention Intervention, also known as AMOPI program, and then Marcel Frazier of the City of Gresham Ceasefire Partnership, as well as colleagues from neighboring districts to discuss how our efforts intersect and how we might deepen our collaboration. AMOPI in particular is focused on outreach, prevention, and intervention for young people in East Multnomah County. These conversations are timely and important for our district as we look to strengthen supports for students and connect more closely with community-based systems of care, not dissimilar to what Director Wright was sharing in the previous report. I look forward to ongoing collaboration as we work to further align our schools with supportive and proactive interventions. Last Friday, Congresswoman Maxine Dexter visited Meadows Elementary for a brief informal tour. We were joined by Meadows Principal Lisa Klingen and Chief Communications Officer Christine Andreg as we visited a few classrooms. We also observed the lunch program in action with Dining Services Director Kim Burns and Nutrition and Wellness Coordinator Pia Watzig. The visit was coordinated at the Congresswoman's request as a follow-up to prior conversations about school nutrition and federal education funding, and offered a chance to share a glimpse of our school environment and our day-to-day student experience. Earlier this month, Director Newman, Vice Chair Mooring, and I attended the OSBA Fall Regional Dinner Meeting. The gathering brought together board members and superintendents from across the region and included updates on OSBA services, a review of key policy issues, and a preview of the 2026 legislative session. Topics included upcoming shifts in Oregon's accountability system under Senate Bill 141, potential federal funding impacts tied to HR 1, and the importance of local advocacy in a tight budget and political climate. The meeting also provided opportunities to connect with OSBA staff and network with peers from other districts. I appreciated the engagement of our board representatives and the continued focus on the issues that directly affect our schools. As you may have heard, late last week, the Oregon Department of Education released a list of proposed 2.5% and 5% potential budget reduction scenarios to the state school fund and other K-12 programs. These scenarios were developed at the governor's request as part of fiscal contingency planning across state agencies amid broader economic uncertainty. While no reductions have been finalized, these proposals, combined with upcoming revenue forecasts and a shifting federal landscape, are expected to shape conversations heading into the 2026 short session. Of course, each district's financial situation is different. Here in Centennial, we'll continue to monitor and plan responsibly. Even so, this latest state-level development illustrates the importance of staying attentive as we approach the next legislative session. The next state revenue forecast is scheduled for November 20th and will provide additional insight as preparations begin for the upcoming legislative session. Friday, November 14th is Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, which honors the bravery of Ruby Bridges, who at age 6 faced hatred and adversity to walk to school, helping desegregate the school system in New Orleans. Her simple act of courage reminds us that positive change often begins with one brave step. By celebrating this day, we can inspire our students to show kindness and stand up for what's right. Several of our schools will be recognizing this celebration this week, which started this morning at Butler Creek Elementary with a walk to school event attended by student, staff, and family members as seen in this slide's photos. Thank you to Director Solowski for being at Butler Creek this morning to help send these students off on their walk. Additional walk to school events are scheduled for Meadows and Centennial Middle School tomorrow, as well as Park Lane and Oliver Middle School on Friday. These events are coordinated in collaboration with our Safe Routes to Schools program. Patrick Lynch, Pleasant Valley, and Powell Butte will also be honoring the day with story walks on their campuses. A story walk is an innovative way to promote literacy and physical activity by displaying the pages of a children's book along with an outdoor walking trail or path. Sequential pages are mounted on signs inviting classes to stroll from post to post while reading the story together. Finally, as a reminder, Centennial High School's Eagle Expo takes place tomorrow. This annual event celebrates the accomplishments of the class of 2026 and showcases students' research, career exploration, and post-high school planning. And board members are warmly invited to attend and engage with the student presenters. And with that, I invite any questions or comments that you may have, and that concludes my superintendent's report.
Thank you, Superintendent Owens. I do have two quick things for you. The quickest one is that I do plan to be at the Eagles Expo tomorrow night.
Well, are you asking me?
Or Thursday?
Are you asking me?
Okay. Tomorrow is Thursday, yes.
You heard how I sound on this report here, so depending on how I'm feeling tomorrow, I intend to go, but we'll see.
Okay, I will be in attendance. Yes.
I cannot go to the Eagle Expo because I shall be singing about Christmas. But are any of the students' presentations recorded in any capacity that could be watched or looked at? No? Yes? Maybe?
We're seeing a negative head shake from
Okay.
Principal Miller, who's walking up to provide more verbal context.
No presentations are recorded. However, for students that miss this opportunity, because it's part of a demonstration of mastery of their 5-year plan, there are makeup sessions, and we are always looking for adults that would come in and give students feedback in makeup sessions. So if you'd be interested, I will give your name to our person that schedules them, and we would love to have that, because it's either you get to present to board of adults and they give you feedback, or we're also looking at a possibility of having our students in makeup sessions go down to the middle school and present there. So yes, we would love to have you.
Yes, please do. I make every effort to do those kind of things, so thanks.
Could we have that just sent to all of us, just for all of our awareness?
Yep, I will send an email to Missy, and she could connect you with the person that's scheduling that.
Great, thank you. Did you have anything else? No? I did have one other quick question for you, Superintendent Owens, regarding the long-range facilities planning process. Are we generally on track with our engagement timelines?
As far as I know, we're on track. We intend to meet with the DLR group representatives, and Director Southerton and I meet with them on a bi-weekly basis, so every other week. And what we're scheduled to do in this next session is to develop a roster of the core team that would meet for the 6 to 8 sessions that would take place in the spring and then going into the fall of the next school year. So all indications is that we are presently on track, and we've buffered the timeline generously from our start date to be able to allow for any sort of detours or hiccups. Director Southerton, would you agree with my assessment? Okay.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, well, that concludes our report section. We're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break that's closer to 10 minutes, not 15. And it is 8:05. We'll see you all back here at 8:15. Thank you.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Buddy, we are re-adjourning here at 8:15. Next up on our agenda are confirmation items. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda or the confirmation items.
And a second?
Second.
Perfect. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. It passes. Next up on our agenda is old business. And Director Southerton, you're up to talk about our HVAC Replacement Design Engineering Award.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vice Chair Moore. It's been a minute since I've had any business for you all, so hope you enjoyed the break. Probably going to have a few things on the next couple of meetings. So, administration is recommending approval of the selection of PAE consulting engineers for design, engineering, and technical construction administration of mechanical system upgrade projects at Powell Butte Elementary, funded by the grant from Portland Clean Energy Fund. We did a public procurement process, which is a request for proposal. We were fortunate to receive 5 responses. 2 of those were scored the highest, and based on reference checks and team knowledge with PAE, overall we rated them as the top firm and are recommending approval of awarding them the contract for the RFP. The administration recommends the Board of Directors approves the contract award of design, engineering, and technical construction administration of the PSEF grant-funded mechanical system upgrade project at Powell Butte Elementary to PAE of consulting engineers in an amount not to exceed $375,000. I welcome any questions you may have.
When would the work take place?
Great question. We're hoping to have construction documents and bid documents by late January, early February. And then based on the response from the contractors, we're hoping to start work this summer.
Thank you. Directors, any other questions or clarifying thoughts? Okay, may I have a motion to accept the award?
Motion to award the RFP for Powell Butte Elementary HVAC replacement design and engineering.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Any nays? No, passes unanimously. Thank you, directors. Moving on, thank you, Director Southerton. Moving on to new business, we are considering candidates for the OSBA Board of Directors position, Legislative Policy Committee positions. This is something that we're voting on as a district board. Are we teeing that up on the screen, Executive Assistant Grindle, or?
Process.
Yes, Director Lynn.
With the agenda item out of the consent agenda, there was a potential discussion that could be had which might have potentially opened up 2 positions, in which case we might not have to go through interviews for both of these individuals, or we might want to open it up to multiple individuals and bring it back next. To have that item first.
I don't see any objection to discussing that. Everybody okay with moving 6.6.2 in the first new business, and we'll come back to candidates?
Did we finish the OSBA policy?
Shouldn't
No.
we? They're not connected,
They're not
right?
related.
So could we finish the conversation we started and then switch to the suggested conversation about the budget committee? Right? Aren't they 2 separate? Am I not missing?
No, you are correct,
Oh,
yes. I think we should finish the OSBA, and then we can discuss the reappointments to the
Awesome.
budget
Thank you.
committee.
Okay.
Because if the intention is, yes, if the intention is to have a more open process, then that would not jive with just sliding anybody into something, right?
All right, thank you.
Great,
I thought
thank
I
you.
was confused. Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you. Sorry, Superintendent Owen, do you have the candidates up here?
Yep.
Okay.
Were we given any information from these candidates as to why we should vote for one of them over the other? For position 18?
It has candidate information in this link. I can try to click it and see.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. My bad.
It doesn't want to.
No.
Yeah, there we go.
You want to go ahead and take 2 minutes to read over
Yeah,
the...
sorry.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I've got it on my phone. It's
Okay.
You don't need to do that.
When we're ready, I'll comment.
Sorry?
When we're ready, everybody's had a chance, I'll comment.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry, when everybody's had a chance, I'd like to comment.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm good if we're waiting to move on, so.
I'm just giving everybody a second to peek.
She said we didn't, she said
Oh,
we could
okay.
continue.
Yep, you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Director Lynn, go ahead.
Great, thank you. All these individuals, and OSBA, I would certainly recommend Brenda Revis for position 18.
Thank you. Executive Assistant Grindle, what is our process here for voting on these folks? Or voting on the contested position?
So what we can do is, can you hear me okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'd start with our Board of Directors position 18 first, and we can do a hand vote, or if we have to do a ballot vote, we can certainly do that if we need to go that direction. And then we would want to go ahead and vote for the 3 Legislative Policy Committee positions.
Okay.
17, 18, and 19, and they are all running uncontested, so.
Yeah, that's easy.
Either we vote for those 3, or we don't vote for those 3 in those positions, but definitely the Board of Directors, position 18. We want to make a decision as a group.
Okay, great. Well, do we have any questions from anybody regarding the candidate statements for Chris Howitt or Brenda Rivas? And everybody feels prepared to vote? Okay. I guess we can just do a voice vote and a hand raise. And Director Shields, I see you joined us online. Thank you. We will go ahead and I guess we'll just start with how many folks would like to vote for Chris Howitt. Please raise your hand. Check with Director Shields online here. No? Okay, perfect. Seeing no votes for Chris Howitt, how many votes do we have for Brenda Rivas? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That makes it unanimous. Very good. We will vote for Brenda Rivas as a board. And Legislative Policy Committee, all these candidates are running unopposed. Do we want to vote for them all in mass here? Let's just have a show of hands unless we need to discuss each one. Looks like we are in unanimous agreement on the Legislative Policy Committee candidates. Thank you, directors.
Do we need to make a motion
Oh.
of that? Like, I make officially?
It's fine.
Okay, great.
I am concerned about Director Shields, or Chair Shields. She's not. Chair Shields hasn't added her opinion on this one, so I wasn't sure if you wanted to.
Chair Shields, did you have a vote for the LPC candidates?
I just raised my hand without saying
Okay,
anything.
perfect, yeah.
Sorry.
We didn't catch you on camera. It's okay. No worries.
All right, sorry, I'll keep my audio going, thank you.
Perfect, okay. That takes care of that. And now we are on to 6.6.3, which is my apologies, the 2025-2026 Budget Committee members in consideration of these here. Previously, we did have 2 of our current Budget Committee members, Myrna Jensen and Ron Betchler, expire this past June. And this was initially going to be in confirmation items that have their terms re-upped. And Director Lynn has asked that we have a more open conversation about the process for Budget Committee members. Was that accurate, Director Lynn? Yes. Perfect. Before we jump into that, Superintendent Owens, can you just give us a brief refresher on our efforts to advertise and recruit for the Budget Committee most recent vacancies? And before you do that, let me just add that I personally did put this on my forward-facing Centennial social media, as well as asked the PTAs at a couple of schools to pass the word out that way as well. And Superintendent Owens going to tell us what we did from a district perspective, and I think our response was a tiny bit underwhelming, which may be why we're in the position that we're in today. But
All right, I'll pass it over to Chief Communications Officer Christina Andreg to tell us what our communications plan was for our Budget Committee vacancy.
Thank you. So in alignment with past practice for this position vacancy, we did a kind of a multi-tiered campaign to put the word out, so we included it in our superintendent's district-wide newsletter. I did see that a couple of schools had repeated that in their own newsletters as well. We used our website with a banner, so right when you go right to the website, it was right at the very front with a front and center banner. We did both social media channels that we have for the district, so Facebook and Instagram as well. And
another thing that we did is we advertised in our district equity committee, because this part of the new policy as far as integrating the district equity committee, that was a component that we wanted to make sure that we advertised in that forum as well.
And we also, Superintendent Owens and I also collaborated to make sure it was mentioned in his board report for the board meeting that fell in between the opening of it and the closing of it. And so we did try to get the word out through the available channels that we do have at our disposal. It was also shared with our key communicators mailing group that we have. That is a public self-enrollment group that's available through our website. And that group has actually grown this year since we switched it to a self-enrollment group. And so that's, I believe, slightly over 100 members now, some parents and staff, but also just community members at large. So we also shared it with that group and asked them to redistribute the information. So right now, those kind of are our available channels to get the news out far and wide, and so that's what we focused on.
Thank you, Chief Andreg.
thank you. And how many total applications did we get on this last go around?
The two that you see in the
The two that
board
we
book.
have that we're interviewing. Okay. Director Lynn, we want to make sure we save time for you as well.
Well, thank you, yeah, and certainly when we have less applications than we have vacancy, obviously it doesn't make sense to make people go through, rigmarole, but when we have more applications than we have vacancies, then I think it is a better process than to just not automatically renew people on the committee, but to actually open it up, possibly have them have the same criteria to reapply and have us consider them to extend their service and not have it be an automatic thing. I know several people on this list have been on the budget committee longer than I've been on the board. I don't know how long they've had their family represented on the budget committee. And I know there's at least one who have, since board members are also budget committee members, we're getting 2 votes from the same family. So if we're really looking for a diversity of experience and perspectives from our district, to turn some people away because of an automatic process where we're renewing people doesn't seem open and fair and a good way to go about it. So I think that's why we should open it up and either, because we have 2 incredible people ready to step up, we just wanted to roll off the longest serving budget committee member and say, hey, thank you for your service, please reapply. Or we table it to next meeting and have all the candidates apply all together equally and consider them all individually.
Great suggestions. I'll ask directors. Maybe we'll go around the horn and see everyone's thoughts or questions.
So the Budget Committee policy, DBEA, was last updated in 2013. The actual language is, we may appoint Budget Committee members to as many consecutive terms as they deem appropriate. I also feel, similar to Director Lynn, that as we are trying to welcome more people into what we do as a board, we have 2 candidates who have shown by both running for positions and applying to this position that they are interested. We want to get interested people in here, and we want to get as many voices as possible. And I also feel that, those that, if we don't have enough candidates, it makes sense to roll forward, but that's not the problem that we have right now. The problem that we have is we have more candidates, and I think that we want to provide the best budget committee possible, and doing that would be interviewing all 4 candidates for the 3 positions, in my opinion.
Thank you, Director Slawski. Director Harden?
My thoughts on this are that it is about engagement. And so my thought is that we review who was engaged in the previous year's budget committee. And, you know, were there members of the budget committee that did not participate in the meetings and did not participate in the discussion, either through attendance or through reviewing and questioning the different budget items? That seems more important to me than term limits, when someone, you know, if a spot's available or not. Like, I look for engaged folks on the budget committee.
Well spoken as our director of the budget committee, our chair of the budget committee. Yes, Dr. Stanley.
I've been trying to wrestle with my thoughts, and I want to honor the work that people want to do, but I think more vital is multiple perspective and multiple voice. And so I also feel like we should interview everybody whose term is up and who has applied, and see how we can capture more areas of our district, particularly if we're looking at a double household representation or, you know, the same quadrant in our district representation. Our district is hugely diverse for being so tiny. So I think if we can make every effort to capture all those little nooks and crannies of our district, we should do so.
Thank you. Director Shields, don't want to miss you on the Zoom. If you have any thoughts to add.
Thank you. Well, this budget committee process and the advertising of this has been there for several months now, and no board member has brought up the process or the concerns prior to this moment. So it's like you're changing horses, you know, mid-race, which I don't agree with at all. I appreciate that Director Slusky has looked at the board policy, because I think that's an important part of what our process should be, is following the, what our policy indicates. And people are allowed to be moved forward. The two people in question have been long supporters, of course, of the district, have worked diligently and on behalf of the district as well, not only as budget committee members, but both of those individuals have longstanding information as it relates to bond and bond preparation, which is tied directly to our budget process as well, because we often are looking at, through the facilities planning, et cetera, what kind of needs we're going to be looking at in the future. I really do believe that we could have this discussion and that we should go ahead and review the language, the 2013 language. But our process has been, as Director Harden has mentioned, that we go to the members and ask if they want to continue. I know that we've had to check in with members in the past. Some have actually even moved out of our district, right? And so they won't be able to continue. Some, their time commitment has changed. But these individuals have been asked, the question has been asked and answered, and we're ready to move forward with the one vacant position that we have this evening to interview our two candidates who are with us tonight. So I would say we stay the course, because we have been at this for at least 2 months, and then let's make sure that we do go through this process for our next budget cycle.
Great. So and just thank you, Chair Shields. And just to add my 2 thoughts on it too, I do believe in inclusiveness and getting as many voices in the process as we possibly can. We did have a process for this for the last couple of months that was communicated out to the board, and there were ample opportunities for folks to maybe chime in. It sounds like we are probably split, if I'm listening to the comments right. So I will recognize Director Solowski before I make a couple of suggestions on what we can do tonight.
Thank you. According to the policy, no later than a regular meeting in November, the board will appoint to fill the vacant positions, which is this meeting. So we would either, I feel like, have to suspend that policy and move forward that way, or take a vote at some point. That's my 2 cents.
Got it. So thank you. There's a couple different things at play here. We do, by policy, need to fulfill that or suspend our policy. We've also rescheduled these candidate interviews before as well. So I think in the least, we should talk with these 2 folks tonight. Are we in agreement on that? Do we need to take a formal vote on it?
I would like to hear from the candidates.
Okay, so we're all in agreement that we're going to talk to the candidates that we have tonight. So now we need to discuss and vote on do we want to proceed with the interviews and appointing the existing committee members back into their positions and then filling the vacant seat with one of these two candidates tonight? Or do we want to suspend policy to table it to our next meeting, and then I think we need to really make sure we're done that. So would someone like to make a motion for either one of those options?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to suspend policy and to tabled it until the next meeting.
Until next one, to hear from all of our candidates. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a second on that?
I second that.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote. The motion is to suspend current board policy and table the vote on the positions until our next meeting in December. And all those in favor, yes, we're still on open, yes, we've had a second, so we're still in open conversation.
I would love to modify the motion with selections will be made in our December, not just table things until, but then the path forward will be decided. Because I don't want it to keep leading to discussion
Correct.
to discussion. I'd like resolution.
Director Lynn, is that an acceptable verbal amendment to your motion?
Absolutely, that seems like we would consider all 4 candidates, but then be kind of on the record of having to decide at the next meeting.
Make the appointment
We
at
will
December.
decide.
Yes.
Okay, so the amendment is verbally
Thank you.
and unanimously amended to, we will make a decision. And this is just the current motion on the floor, right? So now we need a vote, and all those in favor of suspending board policy to then make a final decision at our next meeting in December, please raise your hands and say aye.
What question?
Right.
The decision is to make a final decision about what? I was sorry. I guess I just didn't follow it.
The appointment will be made, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step it. So, yes.
Old habits die hard, huh? Yes, thank you, Chair Shields. The motion on the floor that was seconded is that we would table existing policy to appoint the committee members by this meeting, to appoint them, to table it and make sure we can interview and appoint them at the next meeting in December.
And who are them?
We would interview all 4 candidates and then make that decision at our December, interview all 4 candidates and then decide on them.
So we will not be interviewing tonight.
We will not be talking to Rod or Amirna tonight. They were not.
Now, okay, but you're saying we would talk to 2 candidates,
Yes, the
but
2
we wouldn't talk to the other 2.
We are going to talk to the 2 who are scheduled to speak, who have already been scheduled tonight. And that is Sequoia and Rudy. And since we rescheduled their interviews from last time, so we'll talk to them
Oh.
tonight.
And I understand about the rescheduling, and that's because, again, we had questions. I'll be voting against the motion, just so you know, and I'll state the reason why. Now you're interviewing 2 people, and then you're waiting a month to interview 2 other people, and so you are not having the same process for the positions. And I object to not having the same process for the positions. I would vote affirmative if all 4 candidates were being interviewed at the same time, but not at different times. That just doesn't make any sense. Thanks for letting me voice that.
Thank you, Chair Shields. Yes, we're still in open discussion before the vote.
That I actually agree with that point, that if we are going to change it, I hate wasting people's times, and I apologize to the 2 candidates, but I do believe Chair Shields raises a valid point of interviewing all 4 at the same time. I think that is appropriate. And if we are going to look at providing that best chance to get that snapshot of our district, we should make it an equitable chance and interview all 4 at the same time. So I do agree with that point as well.
Additional comments? Director Harden?
Either way, I believe we should review the process for budget committee members and how they're appointed and interviews. I believe we should review the whole process. Yeah.
Very good.
Seems to be some
Take
different
the
ideas
policy
and
to
adjust the policy.
Committee.
Perfect. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded that we will do this divided interview process. So we can vote on that process, or the amendment can be withdrawn. And then we can re-motion, sorry, excuse me, the motion on the floor can be withdrawn, and then we can re-motion to have all four at the same time in December's meeting. So first, we do need to deal with the motion on the floor.
Could we amend the motion to have all four on the same day? I would be
Yeah.
willing to make that amendment
Yes,
to the
we
motion.
can. Okay, so the motion on the floor is that we will suspend board policy and appointing those folks by today's meeting to have all four candidates interviewed at our December meeting and voted on at our December meeting. That is the motion on the floor. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 Anybody opposed?
Aye.
So noted, Director Harden. Thank you. Okay. If Sequoia and Rudy are listening still in the session there, we're so sorry to ask that we reschedule your interviews one more time. And we do appreciate your patience with us as we work through this very important topic for ourselves. Okay. Director Harden makes a good point that we should definitely just revisit the overall policy. Since it hasn't been updated since 2013, I think we could probably agree to bring that into 2025 or 2026. And a small policy committee could perhaps tackle that together.
And I'm just going to formally apologize to those two candidates. I didn't connect the dots, so I do apologize.
So noted. Thank you, Director Stanley. Okay, well then that concludes all of the new business on our agenda here. Do we have things for future agenda items? Topics, Superintendent
Two things.
Oh, Director Stanley.
Hi, I know, I'm on a
Go
roll.
for it.
I brought up in board coffee, I would love to discuss if our meetings have to be on Wednesdays or not in the future. And I know not for the rest of this calendar year, but I would love to propose an alternate date, like Tuesdays, if we could have that conversation in the future. Thank you. And a second future business, I would really love updates and reports on how the preschool situation is going. I'm personally invested with my own family and history with it, in multiple layers, and it's not gonna go away, just go away. And so I'd really love, please, if we could have some updates ongoing as to how that is being resolved. One, to help our students get credit, but also to honor the community's wishes and things. If we could just have some updates, I'd appreciate it.
Great. Great topics. Superintendent Owens or anyone else for future agenda items?
I'm going to contact Lisa Merrick, who is our government affairs administrator for East County, and see if she's available for either the December or January meeting with the legislative session that I referenced coming up in early 2026. I think it'll be timely for the board to be able to get a preview of that legislative session and what's on the horizon. We also are slated to have a Roadmap 27 first trimester report. And then also Director Southerton will be providing a budget report along with Budget Committee Chair Harden and looking at funding update and enrollment report as well. That's a new feature that we've added within the last couple of years to see how the budget process actually worked and what we're looking at going into the new budget cycle. And we may have a couple of policies as well.
Excellent. Okay, anything for the good of the order? Very good. Hearing none, I will now go ahead and adjourn tonight's meeting at 8:44 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone who has attended.